Hello everyone, this is Nimish. Welcome back to my channel. I just watched the movie Laal Singh Chaddha and I never really had any expectations from this film because the trailer was pretty weak for me, but there are some serious problems with the writing of this film, which is why it is not working. Now I know that there is a lot of noise being made around the fact that it is a remake and the terrorist aspects and the Pakistan aspects and all of that. But that aside for 1 second, here are some absolute basic reasons why this movie does not work, and there is only one short way to describe it: the characters. The characters that influence and Laal Singh Chaddha's life and carry the entire story forward are not on point. The characters include Kareena Kapoor's character, Rupa, Naga Chaitanya's character, the obviously the Pakistani militant character, and his mother. The mother was still fine, played by Mona Singh. Nothing much to say there. It worked in this first half. It kind of, was very confusing in the second half and sort of disappeared in the second half. But let's talk about the other three characters. Naga Chaitanya's character, he only comes on screen and says Chaddi Banyan, Chaddi Banyan, Chaddi Banyan throughout the movie and throughout his appearance. The reason that this doesn't make sense is because although they might have wanted to put in some light humor and comedy, we are not accepting such comedy that doesn't make sense. You are enrolled in the military and you're only talking about Chaddi Banyan. Why are you in the military? In the military, while doing certain tasks with your major going up and down, like sort of assembling a gun, disassembling a gun in record time, you're casually sitting there and talking about Chaddi Banyan and all of this in front of everyone. These are unacceptable. So annoying. While doing an exercise and climbing all of those things and going through those things, the army training, he talks about Chaddi Banyan. It doesn't make sense. We are not here to accept this kind of illogical humor that doesn't make any sense. It makes it a ridiculous type of fantasy movie. When you don't have a sympathy for this character, then many other things that happen in the movie don't actually sit well. When you do not care about Naga Chaitanya's character and you find him annoying, then everything that his dreams that Laal Singh Chaddha is fulfilling, his family he's visiting, all of those things become absolutely unnecessary as an audience to watch, and therefore all those plot points that follow in the second half fail and fall flat miserably because you do not care about this character to begin with. Then let's move on to the militant character. How can it possibly make sense? It's okay if Laal Singh Chaddha saved him and all of those things. That part is fine. But then nothing is done by the entire country about it. No background checks, no sort of police investigations. It's almost as if Ajmal Kasab, which by the way they've shown 2611 in the film, and this character understanding that the same brainwashing has happened that happened to him years ago, this militant, it's almost as if Ajmal Kasab was given a chance to work, to just roam freely in India, drink, end up setting up a business and become a brand ambassador of a very big brand and appear on India Today with absolutely zero knowledge for the entire India police government who this person used to be. Can you imagine this kind of a writing? It doesn't make sense. At least if they had shown this character to be a senior person in the military who was ragging Laal Singh Chaddha, who hated Laal Singh Chaddha, who hated his skills and all of those things and was competitive, yet Laal Singh Chaddha saved him, it would have made more sense if it was on the Indian army side, just a hateful person, angry person that then becomes a much better human being. Would have made a little more sense and audiences would have accepted it, but it just logically doesn't make sense. Regardless of which country and religion and all of those things, logically it doesn't make sense that a militant type person is just allowed to achieve all these things in the rest of the movie with no repercussion whatsoever. Kareena Kapoor's character, the moment she grows up and enters college, has been constantly shown to be a very, very horrible human being who cannot possibly evoke any sympathy or empathy from the audience. Because in college, she chases someone as a boyfriend only for money. It's a very clear-cut dialogue. तुम्हें पता था इसके पास कितने पैसे थे? This kind of dialogues. And then she ends up with someone who is a gangster with Dawood Ibrahim and becomes his sort of partner, wife, whatever you want to call it, only to become an actress. She wanted to do anything and everything. And when the audience is watching that someone who went to the limits of going to sit with Dawood and serve Dawood only to become an actress, how can we have any respect, sympathy, empathy for this kind of a person? You cannot convince me enough, because she went in there herself to become an actress and agreed to everything, got all of this, ended up in a toxic relationship. She gets slapped, abused, all of that, and she still accepts it and says it's okay. And then she goes and serves Dawood and all these things. It is so bizarre to expect the audience to have any sort of sympathy and empathy for Kareena Kapoor. So, whatever happens again in the remaining plot points, all three characters, the way they are set up is so bad, as I just explained, that the entire second half, the audience cannot care about these characters. If the audience cannot care about the characters that Laal Singh Chaddha is constantly talking about and constantly emotional about, then there is no emotion, because we don't care about those characters, and we think as an audience to some extent that these characters should not even exist, should not even be there, and how can they possibly have an influence on his life. And it's so weird to make that connection and to follow the story through to the second half. This is the main reason this movie for me failed. Coming to the fact that it's a remake, I had accepted long ago in my trailer reaction. It's a blatant remake. We know that it is one of the only remakes, so nothing much to say there. It is a remake. You can't change that fact. They did it, so forget that part. And again, I said the Pakistan aspects and all of that. It doesn't matter which country, because the story of that person and all the other people logically is so poor that there is no way to evoke any kind of emotion. Apart from all this, yes, the screenplay is dragged, it is a little slow, there's no engagement value to it, there's no freshness to it. It's an outdated sort of film. The emotions, the whole character arc and graph of the thing is so outdated, especially because it's Forrest Gump, and we've seen many of those critical plot points already in our lives. And for those who don't see it also, because I watched Forrest Gump long ago when I was a kid, I've not watched it again. But even for those who have not watched Forrest Gump, the scene of Run Forrest Run or Bhag Lal Bhag, where his crutches break, that is one of the most, supposed to be the most inspirational scenes on the planet Earth, shown to every school kid ever. So if they wanted to at least reach half that level, that scene would have meant something and evoked something. I can guarantee you not 1% of the audience will feel any sort of inspirational aspect in that scene. It is just not a well written screenplay. Atul Kulkarni has written this film, screenplay, dialogues, everything. He's the main writer, and this is his first and only project. And I would say that that is exactly why it has missed the beats, because it's the first time writer. He does not necessarily have the pulse of how to make this, perfectly written, and therefore these sort of flaws and glitches are completely overlooked in order to focus on the fact that it is a remake and you have to Indianize it and all those things and connect many dots in historical events and try to make it smart. But it is not smart, it is not emotional, and the acting by Aamir Khan is also pretty weird. You do not want to watch it. I didn't enjoy him in PK and Dhoom 3 to begin with, so there's no question of me enjoying him in Laal Singh Chaddha. And I went with an open mind because of the mixed reviews. I sat through it peacefully, and I felt like something or the other might happen that will make this movie at least average 3 stars worthy. Even if some people don't like it and all of that. But this movie is just a blunder, absolute blunder. So I did not like the movie because of the very, very poor writing that I couldn't buy in. It's outdated, it's not worth it. So I'm going with 2 stars for Laal Singh Chaddha, which is pretty terrible for Aamir Khan. So very disappointed, even though I didn't have any expectations. And let me know if you guys watch it, plan to watch it, what you guys' thoughts are, what your friends and family's thoughts are. This was a very, very big disappointment of the year. I hope you like this review to Laal Singh Chaddha. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and keep watching for much, much more.